do some research on who to ask and ask. But one of the big things, oh, this was a good one. If you figure out who to ask and you get advice from them, follow up on it and make sure you do it. Because if someone asks me for advice and I give them advice and then they come back to me for more advice later and they haven't carried out what I gave them first, I'm not inclined to give them more advice.
Somebody's listening to this. I had picked out a woman just because I know that, young girls, young women, they really look up to you. You inspire them. You've been a really great role model. And they've decided on an impossible goal, but now they're thinking, how do I take action on the first step? Because that's the most important one. You don't take action on the first one, you can't do the second and the fifth and the 100th.
Well, I don't know. I think you have to figure out what the steps are first. And if you don't know the steps, then you have to ask lots of questions and don't be afraid to ask. But Google it first. Do some basic research to figure out what the steps might be. And if they're confusing or complicated, then do some research on who to ask and ask. But one of the big things, oh, this was a good one. If you figure out who to ask and you get advice from them, follow up on it and make sure you do it. Because if someone asks me for advice and I give them advice and then they come back to me for more advice later and they haven't carried out what I gave them first, I'm not inclined to give them more advice. But if someone asks me how to get good at ninja and I say do pull-ups and they come back and they're like, I did my first pull-up and now I can do 15. I'm like, sweet, here's what you do next. And I'm excited to teach you. But if you're not going to follow the advice, then you're not very fun to teach. And I don't believe that you're motivated.
I love it. If there was ever $1 million advice, I would say that is it right there. Number one, somebody says, well, I don't know how to do something. Great. Google it. Figure it out. Find the steps. Figure out the first one. But I think this one that's so overlooked and is so important is when you reach out to people to pick their brain, seek their advice, and I'm sure you get those questions on social media all the time, you got to follow through. You actually have to take the advice, put in the work. But what people don't realize is that one of the best ways to provide value to a mentor is simply to show that their advice made a difference and a positive impact in their lives. Like you said, you want to help people as long as they're listening and they're taking action. That's such an important piece of overlooked advice that nobody talks about.
Well, thank you.